ago, I would have been ready. Well, that was sexy. Did you get that? Did you get that on video? Bro, he took off his robe like a porn star.
What?
Unveiling. It was more of an unveiling.
I missed that. Look at my water. What did I miss?
Like a porn star, my friend. Like a porn star. But there's no chest. He's not naked. There's just another t-shirt under.
And welcome to another episode of Just Us Dads. Thank you for tuning in to another Dadversation. Obviously, you guys know what to do. You'll find us on all social media platforms. Please go subscribe, like, and support. Chris and George are both here. Gentlemen, how are you?
Awesome.
Very good.
Awesome.
Before we get started, two little things we want to announce. One, there's a video that's going up on Monday, so at noon. So look out for that. It's a funny little video. We're going to be producing these a lot more often, like we announced at the beginning of the year. We look forward to doing more of those. So the first one is coming out on Monday. Look out for that one. Also, earlier this week, we had announced like a little friendly daddy competition on who was going to build a better snowman with his kids. A lot of you tuned in and you voted on the different social media platforms. Thank you for participating. And there is no winner because basically it's a tie between me and Chris. So for anyone that remembers, there was Snowman 1, 2, and 3. Snowman 1 was Chris. Snowman 2 was George. And Snowman 3 was me. The official results, at least at the time that we're recording this, is 13 for Chris, 13 for me, and 3 for George. So that's it. That was our little competition. Thank you guys for tuning in and participating in that. That was fun. We all had fun enjoying it with our kids. I'm not sure how many fights and how many how much yelling and all that stuff happened.
There's always a little yelling.
Well, I got to be honest with you. We rolled the first one. It was too big. So obviously, like, I did most of the stuff. And then it just ended there. As if that was And the rest, I had to do it myself.
Yeah, it's funny how you started with we. I don't think there was any we in that snowman.
There was. We started with my two girls.
There was an I. They were watching. And if they tried to do anything, you probably corrected them, removed it.
No.
No? Okay, all right.
Emma started rolling the ball, and then when it got too heavy, I came in, and we rolled it really big, right? So we put it there, and then I think she started the second ball, and then she kind of abandoned, and she went off. I don't know what to do. And then I just had to finish. It was going to be fun. I was going to stop there. I was going to stop with the ball, and then the second one, but not even on top of the first one, just next to it, and take a picture of that as my snowman. But I'm like, let me finish it anyway.
My guys did them by themselves. I just helped them lift
the thing. Yeah.
And you see,
I helped them like strengthen it not to fall apart.
Balance it well. Yeah.
No, that's what the reality is, right? Like if they're gonna do it themselves, it won't be as pretty. And this is just another testament of what parents do. Like when parents do homework, teachers know.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
That's why I didn't win, because both of you guys did it for your kids.
That's right. I don't know. Actually, mine put the carrot on, put the nose on. Maria put the nose on.
Yeah.
And they touched. They patted the snow. They removed. The.
You told them get their paws off it because you were trying to make it nicer.
Yeah, I was getting mad. I was getting upset when it wasn't the way I liked it. Yeah. I was getting a little upset.
Anyways, it was fun. And thank you all for participating in that. We're thinking of doing a lot of different little competitions like that. We're brewing some ideas around. If you guys enjoy them, let us know in the comments. Also, if you have any ideas about what competitions you might want to see us compete against each other for, let us know. We have some ideas. Obviously, a few of them include exercising, which I'm not even sure.
Our forte. It's our forte.
Yeah, we're experts.
All three of us are known for it.
Bending over and reaching.
Oh my god. Let's get on to our topic because we've been planning on doing this topic for a while and we've been putting it off. Chris, what are we talking about today, Chris?
Today we're going to talk about the different parenting styles. And once you start getting into this, you get crazy because I don't think anyone really knows what the parenting styles are. But when you break them down, like the way psychologists break them down, and then you realize, okay, I'm kind of here, I'm kind of there, I'm kind of here, I'm kind of there. And then, you know what? There's results, right? So obviously this is like, I'll just explain it very, very quick, right? There's a quadrant of parenting styles, right? The first one, and the way they're laid out is one axis is warmth, meaning love, care, right? How much do you care for your kid and how much affection do you show, right? So from low warmth, let's say, to high warmth. And the other axis is basically how much control you have, from low control to high control. Okay? So let's say you take the first quadrant. The first quadrant is called the authoritative. Authoritative is not a bad one. Authoritative is the parent who is strict, old traditional strict, right? He's going to set the limits. He has certain demands. There's certain rules, but at the same time, he cares about the child's well-being, how they feel. He's going to ask questions. So how do you feel? What happened? Are you okay? But he's still assertive when it comes to rules. Then the other quadrant is the authoritarian parent. This is the, I don't care how you feel. I set the rules and I just care that you become a good human being. I don't care if you cry throughout life until you're 18, right? So this is more maybe immigrant, right? An immigrant parent, usually when parents immigrate, they tend to adopt this style, okay? Then you have the permissive style, which is very, very high in warmth, but zero control.
Very chill.
So basically the kid runs the show, does whatever he wants, no rules. He brushes his teeth twice a month. And the parent basically, this is where the parent tries to be a friend more than a parent, right? And then you have the neglecting, or now they call it, what do they call it now? The modern progressive parenting style, which is low warmth and low control. So it's almost like I don't care.
They're
like this is
roommates.
I mean, this is the absent parent.
This is the absent parent that's not there, like maybe over consumed with work, career. It could be a single parent that just cannot afford to give too much time. So they don't want to discipline because they see their kid rarely. But at the same time, it's like they can't show the love because they can't go through the quantity. Okay? So these are the four parenting styles. And I realized that.
But there's also subcategories too, right? Like, I mean, we're gonna.
Yeah, well, there's probably subcategories. Those are the big four categories. And there's people that are stuck in there forever, right? And don't change. And then there's people like, I think I've been in every quadrant in a day. So I've gone from one to the other in one day. Typically what the experts say is that you got to be, the best results are from the authoritative.
Authoritative, yeah.
So high warmth, but high control. So you got to give the rules. They wake up at a certain time. There's a schedule. They got to do their homework. But at the same time, you're not a monster. You're not a tyrant. Yet, this is surprising, but you know what number 2 is? What do you guys think number 2 is? You would think permissive, no?
Well, it depends. It depends. Like what you're looking in terms of the
outcome.
Yeah, the outcome. Like, are you looking at the kid's future? Because look, for anyone listening or watching, there's actually been studies. There's been results. They've monitored kids.
Yeah. This is this is not my opinion. This is the result. Right?
Up in the future, etc. So they based on their characters and all these different things.
So the result is obviously through a lot of samples of kids across the world, right? And there's many studies like this. So obviously everyone agrees on number 1, on authoritative.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 is not permissive. Number 2 is actually authoritarian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's effective. right? Like take a culture like the Chinese culture is very authoritarian when it comes to parenting styles, and you know what? The outcomes are there, right?
In terms of results, but in terms of because I was reading up on this, and like these kids, they have a high risk of having very low social skills. You know,
Confidence.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I was saying before. It depends on what kind of result you're looking for. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't really surprise me because I would imagine that the absent parent or the very chill parent, those results for sure are much more catastrophic than the parent that actually cares and that
That's right.
it to do well, even though it's way too much and you're considering him authoritarian, or if you're like kind of in a balanced zone where it's authoritative, right? Yeah, I think it's all relative. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for in terms of results.
Yeah, well, look, the results is obviously everyone's kind of thinking, I'm raising my kids so they can become a good human being. So they're looking at, okay, what is a good human being? Is he respectful, right? Is he a decent human being? Is he caring? Is he going to have a good life? Is he going to have a good job? That's what they're kind of thinking. So authoritarian and effectiveness, you're thinking it doesn't work, but it actually works. Obviously, you're going to get some people like you read that, okay, maybe a little bit less of a social life. Maybe some of them are going to be unhappy, but the overall results are good. Yeah. But when you look at the bottom quadrant, and maybe when we release the video, we could put a little picture of that quadrant that we're talking about so people can see what we're talking about. But the ones that yield the worst results, like the anxiety, right, substance abuse, people that they're disassociated with everything, they can't find their purpose in life, a very dismal outtake of life. Well, that's the two bottom quadrants, which are permissive and neglecting. That means that somehow that proves that a little discipline, a little control in a child's life is good, right? At least we know that. So that will yield the best results. So like always listening to your kid and not disciplining him, you're not really doing him a favor. You're actually doing a disservice because then they lack structure. And think about it. Once they go in the real world, everything's structured.
Yeah.
Right? You start work at 8, you get hungry at 12, you get hungry at 1. Right? And suddenly you're tired, you have to go home at 5. You eat at 6, you brush your teeth at 7:30. Example, that's not everybody's life. There's a structure and a pattern to life. So if they learn to do the everyday stuff without a pattern, well, then it's tough. It's tough to adjust. Now, obviously, there's the exceptions. We're talking, yes, exactly.
But especially if during all that time they're also used at always receiving and always getting what they want because the parents are permissive or because the parents aren't there to begin with. So in any case, they always have what they want, right? So I mean, you're developing a selfish character, and then when you go out in the real world, you think that everyone owes you shit. You know what I mean? So that obviously, the kids are going to hit a wall. I mean, the real world is tough, man. I mean, and like I mentioned, there was like all these other subcategories, like like the free range parents and all these the helicopter parenting and all that kind of stuff.
Bulldozing parenting.
Yeah. But that's important because what was I going to say? You have to kind of find that balance where, like, you're not always pushing things out of the way to make room for your kids to build their way into life, because when later on they hit a wall, they won't know what to do, and they don't know what an obstacle means, right? They don't know what and how to get over and how to grow from it, and how to how to embrace the pain and the struggle and come out as a winner. Right, because they've never had to deal with it. Like mommy and daddy were always there to move away all obstacles and have their kid kind of blossom in what they believe is the perfect way.
Yeah. And you're seeing a movement, and this is I don't want to generalize in terms of generation, but if you look at the baby boomers, like you'll see that they're like authoritative and authoritarian. They're up there. Right. And then you see the Gen X, Gen Y, they tend to be more permissive. They tend to be friends. Like I see parents that are friends with their kids, and it's like, it's good to a certain extent.
Yeah, but there's so much more information out there too, right? I mean, there's so much education. There's there's so many more studies that there used to be, compared to back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, when our parents, for example, were growing up. So when they had kids, they just replicated a pattern that they saw from their parents and maybe their grandparents, and for them was like, look, what I say goes, and that's it, that's all. Do as I say, and do as you're told. Now it's different. Now you have all these studies, you have all these focus groups, you have all these trainings, you can go get courses on being a parent, you can read books. My father never read a book on parenting.
But that's not what the data. That's not, George. That's not what the data shows. The data shows that the people that had the less information did it better. And today, with all the information, the groups, the graphs, were all in the permissive, neglecting.
Because it was based on instinct and what they had seen from previous.
Well, it was based on survival.
They knew. They just knew.
It was about surviving on winter. So if you didn't toe the line, but everybody suffered in the family. So they were strict because everybody had to move along together.
But what I'm saying
now we're in a different time when you don't have to worry about the food in your fridge and the corner store having stock.
Not only that,
you don't have to worry about these things. So we take a step back and we focus more on the emotional. So you have to always maintain some of both, I think.
Yeah, but with all the information that's available, it's kind of like you're reading something like, okay, yeah, maybe I should try that. Maybe I'm too strict on Emma. Let me be a friend. Let's try this approach.
Yeah, but George, you're coming from a premise that you actually look at the information.
Yeah,
the information is all there. How many people are looking for it? How many people are researching it? How many people are aware that they need to research this in order to get better?
You're right. Not many.
Right? It's not many. But the data shows that the more we know, the more we're trained, the more we're educated, the less we do in this topic. In this domain, we struggle because we're trying to be friends.
Yeah,
everyone's trying to be.
How many people actually follow this to a rule? Like if they pick a certain style, is there somebody that picks a style and follows the rules of the style? I mean, it comes down to our characters, no?
Yeah, but you pick up the style without really knowing sometimes.
Maybe
it's based on. I guess it's based on family values that are passed on.
Well, yeah, like if you see, my parents were authoritative and authoritarian.
Mine too.
Yeah, all of our.
Yeah, and you know what? I could have been Alex. Her parents, I think, more authoritative and more permissive, and she has that in her. I have less of that in me. Like I'm nowhere near permissive. I'm permissive, like for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like my son runs the show very little, and I just do it just to give him some confidence. Here, go lead a little bit, but then I bring it back to reality.
I'm a little, I'm a little permissive.
Yeah, of course. But I've seen myself going the neglecting, where I'm overconsumed with my work. And it's like, whoa, after 2-3 days, you're like, oh, this is definitely not good. So what we know for sure, like the other three are kind of debatable. You can kind of wander here and there. Like you go test the waters here, come back, and you can get centered. What we know is you cannot be neglecting. You cannot be the indifferent parent. You cannot be the parent that says the basic needs are met. That's it. I don't care anymore. Right. That's destructive. That's definitely destructive. But at the same time, it's like, it's like you cannot just be all warmth. Like you said, we cannot just cater to feelings because we're not helping. We think we're helping, but we're not.
We shouldn't neglect them.
Yeah, and think about it. Like, let's say we go back 30 years, right? Right now, I'm telling you, there's a lot of cases where you have people that are in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. This is primary school, right? Elementary school. And they're saying things like anxiety. I'm too stressed. I can't come to school because I'm anxious.
Yeah.
That didn't exist. My dad would understand what anxiety is. He would be like, "What is that? What do you mean? Explain it to me. I don't understand what that is." Like he wouldn't make it an excuse. He wouldn't make the excuse possible.
No.
Today, though,
it's not an explanation.
Today, a kid can use that and not go to school. He can miss a day of class because he's feeling that. And parents are like, oh my God, I don't want him to feel that because it's a bad feeling. And I'm not saying that they're not feeling it. They probably are feeling it. So the question is, why are they feeling it? And what are we doing for them not to feel that?
It's also like, do you think it's normal for a 6, 7, 8-year-old to understand what stress is or what anxiety is? Like, how do they what do they know about it? Like, how do they understand that? Like, for me, it doesn't make sense for a young child to even understand what stress or anxiety mean and to have the ability to kind of apply it to their feelings or to their level of whatever they're going through. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like I
Well,
said,
they pick it up. They pick it up.
An adult explains it to them, and they stick to it.
Yeah, of course. It's yeah. I mean, they copy what they hear, right? I mean, they repeat everything they hear back at home.
Well, I mean, if you can link it to what you're feeling and somebody pointing out specifics about it, I guess eventually you're going to understand it.
Right.
Well, like this is another topic, and I want to write a blog on this. It's how important are grades.
Didn't you guys ever feel anxiety when you were kids? Like when like let's say you were walking to the store and there was a group of older kids there and you were afraid to walk by them, but you had to because you had to get this thing done for your mom or whatever.
Yeah,
you felt a little nervousness. You know what I mean?
Nervous, not anxious.
Well, they're right there, right? Well, you have to find a way to cope with it. That's the thing. You can't.
Yeah, but
you can't just stay home for everything. You can't just stay home from everything.
But that's fine because that's a natural thing. You go somewhere, it's unknown, the environment is unknown. You know what? You're like you're a little freaked out because you don't know what's going to happen. You're a little scared. That's normal. But
I'm just saying, keeping the kid from home because he's feeling an emotion, rather than telling him it's fine, feel it, but learn to function despite it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the first thing is that why is he feeling anxious? Like, why is he feeling anxious? Right? Why is he feeling a thing called anxiety? What causes that? That's why I said that what causes it in most cases is not strict parents, very demanding parents that care about grades too much. And then the kid is always put on the spot to perform. And then when he doesn't perform, because think about it. Let's say the standard is 100, right? A 90 student, if he gets a 95, he's very happy. He's ecstatic. A perfectionist student that gets a 99 but was aiming for an 100 is sad.
Yeah.
And he scored way more than the 95. So it's all about expectations.
And we've had kids like that, right? In school. Like, I mean, I've had a few of those.
Yeah, of course. But it's how you manage that.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Is it like when your kid brings home a 98, or what kind of stance do you take? Is it what happened to the other two? Why didn't you get on 100? Or, hey, man, 98 is pretty good because you got 97 last time.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your approach, right?
Right.
So, I believe what I'm trying to say is that I believe the anxiety is real, whatever they define it as. I just think they shouldn't feel that when all they need to do is show up to school, have a laugh, and learn.
Yeah, they're supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's supposed to enjoy it.
But guys, that also comes back to another conversation we had about the education system and how it's built and how so much focus on performance and grades rather than focusing on what you excel at and kind of pinpointing that and making you grow at what you're stronger at, right? Man, look, guys, I grew up in a like you guys, our house, my parents were very, authoritative and authoritarian too, to a certain extent. It was only that. I mean, we had a lot of fun. I mean, every kid had their those moments too. But I would tell you, like 90% of the time, that's what the climate was at home, right? It was like, do your work, do this, that. Everything was like very, very structured, very controlled. And I remember when I got into high school, like after maybe Sec 3, I realized that I can hit grades that were average without having to study. And I just stopped studying. I stopped, I never really focused, and that ruined me. But sadly, the habit stayed. So when I moved on into college and then later in university, I just realized that, look, I'm happy, man. I'm happy with like 70, 75. And I don't even have to really work that much. If I really focus in class, I can just perform at that level, right? And only recently did I realize that what an idiot I was. Like if I would study just a little bit more, I would have had much better grades. Now, would that have changed anything? Maybe, maybe not. But it's just like I look at it. I look back, often at these moments, and I'm like, what an idiot. Like, just because of laziness and just because you're like, whatever. But that also brings us to the topic that we're talking about now. Is like, I don't know where my parents were. Like, you know what I mean? What happened to those parents that were like, we need the good grades, and then suddenly they're like, okay, look, man, your parents.
No, but you're bringing a good point, because at the same time, like for the parents listening, it's not only up to them. there's the other variable called the child.
Yeah.
And its personality, its character, its experiences, his influences. Who does he listen to? What does his peers look like? So you're just trying to do damage control. So
You
it's
have to
not the only.
understand
It's
where
not
your
the only
parents left
variable.
off. Where your parents left off, you didn't realize that you decided the rest of the way. They didn't decide anything after that. It was all you.
Exactly. It was all you.
So they gave you that independence. I mean, it's worth a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it's look.
So how are you guys with your kids now? Because look, obviously we're not our parents. I mean, we have a much different approach, but we have that education, right? From the time that we grew up, and we all agree that we grew up in a setting like, you know, we just said it. There was much more authoritarian, much more authoritative parents. Have you carried this on to your kids, or are you more like, oh, my father was too strict, he would yell too much, I'm not going to be like that, I'm going to be much more relaxed, but I'm going to try and set the rules? Like, where are you exactly?
Things come in waves.
Eh?
They come in waves. It's my emotional situation and their emotional situation.
Okay, wait, so how are you and how is your wife?
I think we're both authoritative.
Yeah,
for sure. But she's got more of the softer side. But we're very concerned about their feelings. Don't misunderstand. You know, I ask them a lot of times to decide. They don't realize that I'm asking them to decide, but I'm asking them all the questions to get us there. You know.
Yeah.
But I want them to be responsible. There's a set of things I expect, and I won't give them what they want until we get those things done. You know, and it's very fair.
Right. Yeah.
But I have a very soft side too.
We haven't seen it yet. Chris?
Oh man, me, I'm a little bit all over okay, this is a tough one for me because I'm very conscious of this, and it's been a few years that I've been very conscious of this. Like, I looked into it, so I don't think I'm doing very well. Obviously, I'm authoritative. Okay, obviously, I'm there because I've read that that's where you need to be. So I try to be there, but I could go all over the place. I told you, in one day I could do all quadrants 4 times. Okay, so it's like the kids probably worry that I'm bipolar, you know, or quadrupolar. But because I'm conscious of it and I'm testing different stuff, like I'm in that test mode. So I'm trying to do it right. I give him the space, you know. As I learn, I tell my kid that I'm learning this, which is a weird one. Yeah. So I'll be like, you asked me, you know what, I would have reacted like this, but you know what, I'm going to react like this. And you know what? Yeah. And
try something out today.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to react like this, and I want you to understand that and respect that. And I'm seeing that he's kind of picking some of the information up. I do have my parents' style. I'm very aware of what my parents did well, because obviously if I had to split it, they did 90% well. 90% was excellent. The other 10 needed a little polishing, and that's fine. So I'm aware of the 90 and I apply it. And the 10, I either try to forget it or not to apply it, right? But my general rule is not the parenting style. My general rule is, and I've said this before, and I don't know where I got it from, but when I read it, I'm like, this is what I'm doing. I don't try and give my kids what I never had, because I had a lot of stuff. So if I give them everything I've never had, they have everything. Mm-hmm. I just try to teach them what I didn't learn. So what I didn't learn at that age, or what I didn't learn through my childhood because my parents were trying to give me more than they had, right? Think about it. Our parents operated from that mindset, that thinking. You know, I didn't have the opportunities. I got to make sure I give them the opportunity. Right. But that's not necessarily the best plan. So focus on, you know, according to me. So it's like, whatever you didn't learn, teach it. And then, you know what, hopefully they'll do better. So I'm very conscious of how I do it, but I don't focus on a parenting style. I focus on the information. I focus on adjusting. Yeah. You know,
pretty good trick there.
What about
my wife is permissive. She's a really good mom. She always seeks to understand first. She'll say later, but I think both of us together makes a great balance.
Right.
And so, but she's permissive. Yeah, she'll let the kid run the show sometime. She'll give the punishment when she needs to give the punishment too. She's definitely not authoritarian.
Yeah,
that's not Alex.
Yeah.
But she has a natural thing, Alex. And she's naturally good. And obviously, maybe with her experience with kids and stuff like that, there's a couple of things that she does very well. You're like, okay, wow. But I don't believe there's one way. They need to see different expressions. They need to see different behaviors because they're analyzing it, right?
Mm.
And like I said before, I don't believe in the equal value system. So I don't treat Gerasimo and Maria the same. Not necessarily, right?
Yeah. No, us. My wife, she's definitely not authoritarian. I'm just trying to think if she may be more authoritative than I am. Sometimes she is, but I think we're pretty much on equal ground there. But she's definitely much more permissive than I am. But I can be permissive too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're very comparable. Like we're not like you and Alex are like one is the authoritative, the other one is the permissive. It kind of blends in together well, right? And then you can both kind of go, into each other's territory. Like you can drift off to be permissive sometime while she could be authoritative, but more often than not, it's you're the authoritative one and she's the permissive one. With Joanna and myself, I think we both swap those things like back and forth. There isn't like I can't say that she's the authoritative one and I'm the permissive. Like it always changes. But we're definitely in those two. Definitely.
As long as you both agree.
We're the furthest away from being authoritarian. That I can tell you. Obviously,
that's important too. What George said. Yeah, as long as we agree, because a lot of times you clash, right? You have different opinions
two opposite
on how to handle it, and it's more important that you show that you're coherent with each other in front of the child. Than trying to argue it in front of him.
No, exactly. No.
Good point.
More often than not, we're on the same page. It has happened a couple of times that we're not, but we don't comment. I think it's mostly her that hasn't agreed with me, but she hasn't said anything. She's like, before what you did, like, relax, man. Right? We should do this or let's try and do that. You know what I mean? Like it never happens in front of the kids, so that's a good thing. Because then the kids understand, like, oh, something's off here. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't know what they're doing.
So wait, the $1 million question now is, guys, I want to ask you this one. This is what is going to separate now, like old school versus new school, right? Strict versus modern progressive.
Do you
beat? Yeah. That because we're not gonna look. Let's be honest. All the older generation that I knew, at least in my circle, the Greek immigrant parent, man, it wasn't even a bad thing.
It was.
It's God blessed. It comes from. They say, what is it? What do they say? It comes from paradise. It's heaven sent.
Yeah.
Beating your kid is heaven sent.
I've never heard that.
You never heard that?
Never in my life.
Yeah. That's an expression in Greek.
Yeah.
So that nobody. It's almost normal. It's like that's what we do here. And this is a very Western idea that you shouldn't beat your kid. And I don't mean wait. Let's make a distinction. I don't mean beating your kid because there's a difference. When you beat your kid just to give a lesson and you still love it and you explain why you did that, is one thing. Beat and I don't beat my kid. So just to get out of the way.
You keep saying the word beat.
I never hit, smacked. Yeah. I never spanked. I never. Okay. Islami, I've intimidated my son to the point where it's like, look, I'm the boss. Like I flexed my muscle to him and it's like, whoa, okay. There's another level here. Okay. But I've never spanked my kid. But spanking becomes bad when the person doing the spanking gets pleasure out of it, and that happens.
Yeah,
that's when it's bad.
Well,
but to spank your
not necessarily get pleasure out of it, but it's just to take out his own frustrations because of whatever.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, it could be that, but that's when it becomes bad.
It's not about the punishment; it's about satisfying themselves.
Exactly. It's like criticism, right? When you criticize because you want to help and you're constructive, that helps somebody. When you criticize because you want to condescend, right? You want to make somebody feel inferior. Well, that's when criticism becomes bad. So I find it's the same thing, but it could be used.
Context.
So wait. Before we go into before we go into like we lose ourselves in monologues. Do you guys beat your kids?
No.
Word. I've spanked my kids for sure, man.
Yeah.
I had no choice.
I haven't spanked her. I'm trying to think. Maybe once I tapped her on the butt, but it was nothing.
He tapped her like this.
Like
He tapped.
like she probably didn't feel it.
Like that. Okay, so what do you guys think? Obviously, there's a lot less people spanking their kids today.
Yeah.
But what do you think of government intervention if that happens? Let's say your parenting style is you want to smack your kids, right? You want to smack them, you want to spank them, you want to discipline them with a little bit of physical abuse, a little bit,
well,
right?
The truth is that now it's much more monitored than it was back in the day.
No, but what do you think about that? Do you think that's a good position for the government to have, or they should just stay out of your way?
I don't know, man. It's a tough question because you know what the thing is. Look what happened in Laval a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw this. The little girl that they picked up in the house, she was dead, and then suddenly the neighbors like, "Oh man, we should have intervened." That girl, we would always hear yelling. We would always hear like this. We would always imagine an abusive environment. Blah blah blah. We should have done something. They didn't. The poor little girl lost her life. You know what I mean? And all the time, there's a major crisis in Quebec with the DPJ.
Hold on. This every time they hear people yelling, you're going to call the cops to make sure.
But what I'm saying is that, like, Chris is asking, what's that over the top limit where should the government step in? But the thing is this: there's a major issue right now in Quebec with the DPJ, the Direction de la Protection de la Jeunesse, where there's a huge crisis. Like they should have intervened and they didn't, and the kid either ended up dead or in severe trauma or whatever, or they've known that the parents were abusive and they still left the kid. Like there's this huge debate happening right now. There's actually a report being produced. There's a special committee that is overlooking the functionality and the effectiveness of the DPJ. So there is a big issue over here. See, look, we all come, at least I think, I assume we all come from backgrounds where what happens in your house is your business, no one else's. You understand? That's kind of the mentality that we grew up with, right? And today, I don't know, because I've experienced and I've seen these events happening. Maybe the government does have a role to play. Now, where does it have to come in? I don't know, because I kind of feel that what happens in my place is my business. If I wanna discipline my kid the way I want to, but again, I can't compare myself because I know that I don't beat my kids, I don't hurt them. If I want to discipline them or if I yell at them, maybe the neighbor doesn't do that. And it's gonna be like, oh, this guy's abusive, but it's not. You understand?
Yeah, but don't you think we need to separate somebody disciplining their kid and a psycho that just lost his mind?
Yeah,
because if you're gonna take 4 examples, let's say you take the 4 exceptions that happen every month. I don't know what the numbers are. I'm just giving you a principle. Let's say we observe 4 to 5 cases every month. We agree that for 8 million, 4 cases a month is not a lot.
Negligible.
So you cannot. It's negligible. I feel sorry, and you know what? There's a lot of unfairness and injustice in the world, but making a law, right, to punish people that feel that they should discipline their kids in their own way, maybe it's not the best way to do it. So that's why I'm asking you guys what you think. I don't know where I stand on the topic. In general, I don't like government intervention in people's lives. I believe that people are there to live free lives and the government should protect people, yes. Now, to what extent? I don't know. I'm just saying most people that spank their kids because whatever, it's a little spank and then they forget. I know a lot of kids that got spanked when they were young and loved their parents. So there was it was effective in a way because it didn't turn into hatred. But to what point, like having everybody snitch on you and people calling, I don't know. I don't know where I stand. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, there is an issue, but
look, my initial reflex is stay out of my house. But that's because I know how I am. I know how my wife is, and it's really not an abusive environment, right?
Would you call? Let's say you heard crying. Would you call?
If I heard crying, my neighbor.
Yeah.
You mean just hearing a kid cry?
Well, I don't know. Like
Well, no,
you hear a kid cry,
yeah, you hear
but
a little,
it's a concerning cry. It's one of those where it's at the next level. Like from 1 to 5, this is a level 6. Like they shouldn't be crying this loud. This it sounds like they're in agonizing pain, let's say, or they're scared.
I don't know, man, but maybe look, and this is hypothetical. I mean, I don't know how I'd react. It's never happened to me. I think maybe knowing myself, my first reflex would be to go check it out.
Yeah,
If it's my
that's a
neighbor,
good one.
like, okay, is someone in danger? Like, I'd go and knock on the door. I'm like, is everything okay? What are you guys doing? And then if you notice that the guy's beating his wife with a bat, then yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
But
No, it's a tough one, man.
I've knocked on neighbors' doors because there was
because of
physical
yelling.
altercation. Well, I mean, I walk in, the husband's beating his wife.
No way.
Literally. Yeah, because we had some tenants and
Yeah.
this was
Yeah,
the
that
reality.
happens, guys. That is still a
I
reality even
walked
today.
in and I intervened and I gave her the options. You want me to call the cops? It's up to you. But he's not coming in tonight until these kids are happy, because the guy was drunk. It was disaster.
Yeah.
Real disaster.
And another thing, if you read up on it, you'll see that a lot of these women, and I'm not for it, right? So I don't want to be misquoted. I'm not for this, but this kind of behavior, a lot of the women tolerate it. They'll stick with it. They'll tolerate it, and you know what? They
There's a pattern that they need to break.
Yeah, either they're thinking falsely that it's their fault and that they deserve it because their self-esteem and their self-worth is very low. Either they're going to take it because they don't want to break the family, or they're going to accept it because this is part of it.
There's a whole history to the person's
man is
life,
here,
too.
woman is here, and he's allowed to do that.
So it goes back to the person's history.
No, but see, that's something that concerns me a lot, and I think about that a lot. I even told you guys, I even spoke about this last episode when I told you that I want to be very careful with the way that I discipline my kids or that I react when I'm around them, because I want the image they have of a man to be to not be someone that is abusive or violent or that yells, because then when they grow up and they're in a relationship, I don't want them to think that is a standard. Yeah, that's normal. That's how it was on my place. I don't want that. I want their first words to be like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't know this. This is foreign to me, and I'm not comfortable with it, right? And that maybe is just the instinct of a protective father that doesn't want his daughters to be in that kind of environment. And I would assume any father would be the same. I mean, if you know that your daughter is like 20, 30 living with someone that is abusive, like it gets me crazy to think of that. You understand what I'm saying?
That's different. That's a whole different story. Because now it hits home. Now it's different.
No, exactly. But you want to avoid that from happening. But to answer your question, I don't think any woman should stay in this situation, and whatever the circumstances are, yeah, there's a lot of psychology that goes into that for the woman to say, oh, you know what, but I have to do it for the kids. Like, imagine, I've been in situations, I've had people call my office where she was whispering because the husband was sleeping, and she's like, I need help, please help me, he's sleeping, I don't know what to do.
It's very, very simple, George. When it's a call for help, then you must react.
Absolutely. But at the same
time, it's just some people don't want to be helped.
Yeah,
some people don't want to be helped. It's like that's how they live. That's how they cope with it.
What I'm saying is that initially, for me, in my mind, and I know that it happens, obviously, but in my mind, it does not make sense for a woman to even get to that stage. Like, listen, at the first sign of any abusiveness or conflict or something that is off, fuck right off, man. Like, or question it, or
I mean, any person. There's even men in that situation.
Yeah. Of course. So, let's not just talk about women, because there's guys that are in abusive relationships. That's true. I would bet that they're much fewer than women.
Yeah.
But so that's like, now that my kids are older, and one of them is older, the other one though is starting to, she's getting there. Like, she's at the age now where she notices things and she picks up patterns and expressions and all that stuff. Now is the crucial age for us. You know what I mean? Like, whether I was loud before or lost my patience before, like, it's an extra effort as of now to make sure that I got to be the best version of myself, because that's the idea in the back of my mind that bothers me. I tell you guys, probably the most. Like, now I'm thinking, where are these girls going to be when they're like in their mid-20s? You understand? Like, when
you're already there.
Well, look, because I don't want to be there. But at some point, you're thinking, okay, look, we have to, like, I don't want my girls to have boyfriends, But I mean, let's be realistic. There's gonna be a time where they're gonna be in relationships, right? And I want them to have the presence of mind to know that when something doesn't click, you get the hell out, or you have the reflex of calling mom or dad and saying, "This is what happened," right? Because a lot of the girls, like you saying, or a lot of women don't say that; they keep it inside because it's their business. I can't. What an embarrassment. I can't call my friend and tell her that my husband beats me. I can't call my mom. I can't call my dad. You know what I mean? What a failure they'll think I am, or whatever that might go through their minds, right? And you don't want that. You don't want your kid to be in that kind of environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it affects dads that have daughters more. I would say. I don't know about you. I mean, you have a daughter, Chris. You don't think of these things.
Look, I think of these things, but there's just thoughts in my head that will come up and say, okay, if everyone ever touched her, I could become a monster, and then it goes away. But but that's the idea. You make sure that they get a good self-worth, a good self-esteem, in order to not accept that and know that they're worth more. They're worth more than that, because a woman that stays in a relationship like that, their self-worth is low to themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? They don't value themselves as much as they should, or it's just they think that's how it is.
But to bring it back to our topic, I don't think yelling at them when they're doing something they shouldn't, or possibly spanking them for something they shouldn't on occasion, is going to lead them to the arms of a monster.
Yeah, no.
No.
I mean, if you're doing it as a parent, let's say you're yelling, or you're losing your patience a bit. There's a build-up. It's incremental. They know they did something wrong as well. It's not just that basic that I love monsters. It's not that simple. I mean, you're not gonna do that, George.
No, for sure. They understand that. Okay, this is discipline because I know that. Yeah, okay.
That's what. And you think about it so much. I don't think you could possibly do that much wrong.
No, yeah, exactly. Like, it's not a context where, daddy's coming home drunk again, and that's it. He's gonna beat up mommy, and he's probably gonna beat up me and my sister.
Hey, yeah, that's different. That's a whole different. That now you're dealing with a whole different set of problems.
That's what leads down that path you were just describing.
Yeah. That's a whole different thing. The day-to-day is different. Yeah. But it's both, but I don't agree with no yelling at all.
Not to lose our shit all the time. You are right. Even me with my boys. Boys push my limits, man. Push my limits.
No, but you cannot not scream at all.
It's not a matter of girl. It's not a matter of boy and girl, because me too, I lose my patience. And I've noticed lately it's getting worse and worse. And we even wrote the blog about it, where I felt that this entire year, whether it's because we were always together or whether because whatever, the context was, I feel like I've been losing my patience a lot more than usual. I don't know if it's because the kids got a bit older and they passed that threshold where they just decide not to listen anymore. I don't know what it is. But that just means that it's not, what I'm trying to say is that it's not always to put the effort on the child to become better, because maybe the problem is you, right? Maybe it's, maybe I have to maybe I have to demonstrate something different. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're learning in this too, right? I mean, we don't know everything. We don't have all the answers. And I know for a fact that this issue that I've had with patience this whole year has been rubbing off on the old one. Like, I see it. Like, she has a short fuse. Like, you tell something, like, and I'm like, holy shit, like explosive, Like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
It's imitation.
Where it gets tricky, though, is that when you show that you don't know too much, then they lose the trust and they lose the confidence, because now they see that you have faults and you're vulnerable, and maybe you can't lead like you should. That's what the old timers didn't want to show weakness. They never wanted to show vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because you're the leader, right? The king can never show that he's scared that he's going to lose the battle.
Right.
Because then his men feel right.
Be a pillar.
So you gotta be both. And I just want to add to the yelling, because I don't believe in a house where there's no yelling, there's no fighting or arguing. That doesn't exist. Nobody lives in a vacuum. But I think the importance is to like, when you do yell, it's like, look, man, I lost my cool. I'm sorry.
Reflect.
But at the same time, it's like the kid needs to understand that yelling is bad, but don't do yelling. Like, don't pick that up from your dad. Don't yell. But at the same time, if you're yelled at, be strong enough to deal with it. It's like almost like the bullying the bully, right? You cannot eradicate all the bullies. So you have to make sure the kids don't bully, but you also have to help the kids that when they do get bullied, that they can stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's two lessons. It's not just one way. You cannot just be like, okay, I'm sorry, I yelled. I'm sorry, nobody does. No. It's like, look, people will yell. You know what? You have to deal with both. It's not good. I'm sorry, but at the same time, you know what? Don't like you don't want them to diminish and lose all confidence because somebody yelled at them either.
Right.
So it's both.
It's funny you bring that up.
Why?
Why?
Because at work, I was working late. I was working a lot of hours, and I was using. I was getting stuff from my car to bring to the office, and there was some volunteers doing some stuff for the holidays, and they had some guy organizing the space. They were putting stuff onto trucks. Anyway, he blocked me off. I needed 1 meter of space. I was just about to pass, and the guy I'm like, just leave me as a meter. I'm coming right now. And he's like, no, wait. He drops it and he leaves it, and I yell, excuse me, sir, you have to move it. I have to get to my office. I don't have I'd done 1 million hours. I don't remember what it was. The guy moved it because I intimidated him, and then he cried. He's in his 40s. The guy was in his 40s. And I didn't swear, I didn't threaten, but I raised my voice because I needed him to sense my urgency because I wanted to be home. Just let me pass. I'm out of your way in 30 seconds. The place is yours. He didn't understand that. He thought it was going to hit, and I wasn't going to have any. That's why I raised my voice. It was across the room too. That's why I had to raise my voice. And he did it. I saw he was very uncomfortable. Then he left where we were.
No, she was uncomfortable, man. For anyone that hasn't seen George in person, we're talking about one big boy, man. He's like a bulldozer coming at you. Fuck, I shit my pants, bro. If I got out of his car yelling, I'd probably start crying also.
I felt guilty, man. The guy was that sensitive.
Yeah, I get it.
That guy's father didn't scream at him, man. He wasn't desensitized.
But you know what it is, and it's what I used to lose my cool way more often, and a lot. Like it was pretty easy, and then you realize, that you don't know what people are going through.
Yeah,
you don't know what they're going through. You know what I mean? It's like you're on the road and you start honking at people, and then it's like, you know what? Then it happens that you make the mistake and people are honking at you.
Yeah.
And you don't want people to start screaming at you because, look, you just did what they did 2 days ago. And you're probably going to repeat that. So you can't judge other people just because you feel like shit at that point. And you know what? That encounter you had, George, you don't know what the guy did. Maybe the guy just found out maybe he lost his mother. Maybe he lost his daughter. Maybe something happens with a divorce.
Yeah.
And you know what? You just hit that extra little button that just made him. You just have to be a little bit more.
Fucked up his whole year, bro.
You just fucked up. Yeah.
No, but
the guy's whole year.
I raised my voice because he was far, and there was an urgency. I wanted to get home. I was dead. And if he blocked me, I would have been stuck there another hour. I couldn't. I had to be home. I needed my bed.
Yeah.
It was too late.
Just go back to what you're saying, Chris. I'm very fair with it because I sometimes have road rage. Road rage, not like driving roughly, but I lose my patience, especially when there's traffic, and especially when there's dumb drivers around me. But in all fairness,
to do with the name George.
Probably, yeah. But in all fairness, when I realize that I make the mistake, I acknowledge. I'm like, what an idiot you are. You're such
yeah, because you know what the reaction is. This is the reflection. It's like, come on, go. And then when they do it to you, it's like, hey, relax.
Yeah.
When it happens to you, it's like, hey, relax. Why is he freaking out, this guy? And it's like, hey, man, be real. Just be real. Just be conscious of the situation you're in. And you know what? My road rage is zero.
No
zero.
Way. I don't believe it.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. 0. Ask anyone. 0.
Chris's driving gives me road rage.
Yes.
He's too patient.
It's 0. And you know what? I've been in a situation where my son reacted. And he reacted because he saw a reaction of another parent in the car.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was like this.
What are you doing?
What's your problem?
What's wrong with you?
It's like, yeah, it's like, what are you doing? What are you reacting to?
Yeah.
You think he meant it? You know?
Yeah.
So it's like you got to put those little seeds, and then
you're
once
right.
you're conscious of it, you just
No,
stop
you're
doing
right. It's kind of like when you're driving and the guy cuts you off, and you're like, beep, what the and
Yeah.
then you realize the mistake. And then when you drive next to him, he pulls one of these. He's driving, he's like,
Yeah, but think about it,
don't you
George.
feel like an asshole for yelling at
Well,
him?
99% of the time, do you think the guy wants to hit you so you can sit down, exchange paperwork, waste time? No. You know, it's an honest mistake,
No,
and
but
that's it. You know what you do? You just go beep beep, and you just brake, and you're like, okay, go,
Yeah.
just go, just go. There's no point of getting. You can't get mad. And you know what? You know what the principle on that is? You're not gonna let 1% shit on 99%. What do I mean by that? Can I explain what I mean by that?
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning. You want to go to work. Forget, now we're in COVID. Let's say we're pre or post COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. You're wearing your nice shirt, your tie, and your kid is there in the morning, and somehow, like what happened to me with the milk, happens with the coffee. Right?
Yeah.
At that point, you can freak out and shit on everyone's day.
Yeah.
You could be angry. You're going to make your kid feel like shit. Your kid's going to cry. You're probably going to leave home angry, right? Your wife's going to be like, okay, bye. You're going to storm out. You're going to drive badly. Your mind is not going to be there. You might get into an accident. You go to work. Everyone says, hey, what's up? You're like, yeah, good, whatever. You start dumping the shit on other people. You bring that negative energy everywhere, and you have a shit day. Yeah. So you let 1% shit on 99%. Where you could have just said, hey, it's okay. Dad is going to go change. You go change your shirt. You give your kid a kiss. You say, it's okay. Next time, be careful. You walk out. You drive better. You don't blow any lights. You don't speed like a maniac. You don't get annoyed at other people. You go to work. Hey, what's up, everybody? You're in a good mood. And now you spread good energy.
Yeah.
It's that, guys, I'm telling you, it's hard, but it's that simple. It's that simple to not let that 1% destroy 99%. And I'm not telling you here, it's not, I'm telling you about the stupid things I used to do. I used to do that. I used to let that 1% destroy everything.
Yeah.
And then I would mention it the next day too. And then everybody had to know. Everyone had to know that happened. You know, and until I found out how stupid it was.
You just want people's validation, right? I'm not right?
So it's not pot calling the kettle black. It's what I used to do, and then you learn.
Yeah.
Then you just learn that that's stupid. Yeah. And now it's like, hey, okay, whatever. It's all right. All right, we'll fix that.
You know, when you're talking like that, and you know, you kind of realize yourself that, and we said it before, just before that, you know, we're still learning. Like, we don't have all the answers, and like, as much as this whole thing is an experience and a learning curve for the kids, it's, I think, even more for the parents, right? But it's crazy. Like, if you kind of, if the kids were able to put themselves like in your mind and realize that these fucking people have no idea what they're doing. It's just a test run for them as well. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how disastrous that would be? Like, your kid, you're disciplining your kid, but at the same time, you're also learning from, like, look, see, like, instead of freaking out because they spilled coffee on you, you know, you matured and you learned that, okay, I'm not going to let that bother me, right? So, like, there's always a consistent learning process, right? And,
no.
and
you sum it up in one sentence.
Yeah.
Huh? Make sure that the damage you do is not irreversible.
Right.
Right. It's like, do the best you can to not mess them up too much.
Yeah, but the least amount of trauma.
Yeah, but
the least amount of dent. Yeah, exactly. You know.
At the same time, man, like, how much trauma can you cause by losing your shit over spilled coffee? Like, seriously, how? Like, what is it? Like, what is it in the coffee?
You could, man, because I'll give you an example. And this is, again, I read it somewhere.
In the moment, if you're late already, it burns you.
It burns. So and you know what? You can say things. You can be really mean. First of all, it could be silent. Your kid could be in a very, like, low energy state, and you could just erupt. And that could scare them. Right. And that makes them scared of you. And then you could say certain things like, hey, wait, are you stupid? Like, can't you be careful? And you know how that is? You know what the analogy of that is? It's like, you know, when you have a fence and you put a nail in the wood, right? If you remove the nail, it's fine. You remove the nail, but there's still that hole in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can't repair that. So the words are like that in a way. So it's like, you know what? You think you said it, you're sorry. But if you nailed them really, really hard and really, really deep, then that scar is going to be there. You know, so it's just the little things to avoid. And you know what I'm telling you is what has helped me is just be conscious. I don't care if my kid catches me thinking. Sometimes I'm just thinking. It's like I don't know what to do. So I think. I'm like, okay, how am I going to deal with this? You know, I'm going like this.
You talk loud.
Yeah, and the kid, Gerasimo was perplexed. Like, who is this guy? What is he doing? But I'm thinking, I don't know how to deal with it yet.
I'm expecting the worst, and the other kid's like, okay, how do I deal with the situation now? Let's see.
If you hesitate, even mine, Alex, he stops and he's like, what are we going to do, Baba? Relax. Let's think about it.
Yeah.
He's expecting an answer instantly because usually you have an answer for everything, right?
Yeah.
When
It's
they
a good
catch you
strategy.
thinking, they're like, they get a little worried. Like, why isn't he giving an answer quicker?
I thought it was better than this.
Guys, I'm not kidding. You know what I've even done? I've even waited for 2 days later. It's like, we're not going to deal with this now because I don't have to deal with it. But we'll talk Saturday.
Yeah.
And then you see it's in his mind. He'll come back and am I going to be able to play video games? What is going to be my punishment?
Is it thinking? Mode?
Yeah, he's thinking about it now. It's like, whoa, what's going on? I'm used to it. It's like, you do this is it. You know? So yeah, you're right, man. This is just all to your point. I think it's a very good point. It's a trial and error. No one has the answers. You're learning. As long as you're conscious that you can make mistakes, you're a human, and everyone makes mistakes.
Like you mentioned, rethink everything and you're on the right path.
Yeah. Don't think that you have all the answers. That's all. That's just it.
I think that's
you're conscious of your lack of knowledge, so you're always going to try to better yourself. It's always going to be on the positive.
Yeah, and don't believe another one. It's don't believe what you think. You know, just because you think something, don't believe it's good.
Yeah.
You know, because you think about it. How many times have you challenged your thoughts? You're just doing something out of repetition or whatever, but is what you're doing really the right thing to do?
Right.
So just taking a step back, man.
I think that's a great thought of the day to end the episode on, guys. Anything else to say? Anything else to add?
Yeah, don't beat your
spanking
kids.
Is not beating.
Hey,
spanking is not beating.
That's true. Spanking is not beating.
All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in again. Keep an eye out for that video dropping on Monday, and obviously you know where to go follow us. So just do us a favor and subscribe, like, follow, comment, and share. See you all in the next video. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.